We've all experienced burnout to a certain extent, and most of us think that it's always because we're doing the wrong type of work. Well, we think that it's doing just all work all the time, but it could be actually because we're doing the wrong type of work.
And when the past signal calls, it's calling me. I'm paid to breathe, paid to stay.
Hey guys, Brian Limas here.
Jun Rivera here.
And welcome to the second episode of the Paid to Breathe podcast, where we're talking about how to recover from burnout using the 6 types of working genius of Patrick Lencioni. Now, guys, on this podcast, we've talked about before that you're here for business development and how to digitize your business there as well. But we're also going to be offering a lot of insights and feedback into what real world and how you can apply this to real world topics such as burnout. So it's nothing new, right? We've all experienced burnout to a certain extent, and most of us think that it's always because we're doing the wrong type of work. Well, we think that it's doing just all work all the time, but it could be actually because we're doing the wrong type of work, right? And, but particularly for just really hearing the real side of us, we being startup founders and whatnot, that is where you have all the weight of the world in yourself. And because at the same point, you are being resourceful, you're starting very lean, and you feel like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And so, June, what does it feel like when you're carrying the whole thing yourself?
I would say, first of all, overwhelming, because, like Brian said right now, every job requires a 6 genius job. I have 2 of them. So if I'm not in my genius zone, I'm going to be a little bit all over the place, right? So I would definitely be overwhelmed. And, me being the frustration and wonder and discernment, if I'm seeing the big picture, I'll be like, man, I'm just going to cringe. So,
No, absolutely. And it's so crazy because we were like, well, what is wonder? What is discernment? Don't worry, we're going to get there.
Absolutely.
We will definitely give a thing there. But I think more or less, once again, why do startup founders burn out, right? Because definitely, like we said, you have the weight on your shoulders because at most part, let's be real, you can't afford to really start hiring people unless you have venture capital. But even then, you need to be careful with who are the right people to hire.
Absolutely.
Which we'll talk about more, being the ideal team player. That'll be another podcast. But as we really talk about your geniuses, your frustration zones become way more apparent, right?
Absolutely.
And we talk about that the 6 types of working genius is your working geniuses for productivity. You have your competencies, which is we call the slow burn, because that's where you can be naturally good at it. But after a while, doing that type of work, after a while, will get you burned out. But when we talk about frustration zones, it's the red light, bam, bam, bam. That is the most immediate and things where it's not renewable energy. Everybody has their blind spots. I'm sorry. Yes, everybody, you have weakness. And so the more that you can admit that, is the first step, right? They always say.
Absolutely. I mean, at least for me, when I found out about it, it took away the guilt and shame from actually not knowing. But sometimes you're like, why am I so frustrated about needing to wonder about something or needing with a gut feeling decide something, and finding out that's not even my fault. I was like, oh my God, I am so relieved because, my geniuses are enablement and tenacity. So I'm always in the finish line. But when you're in the ideation activation part, it's you have to go back there. So
yeah, no, it's because which one of those zones you just said that they drain you the most, right? Yeah. And what is discernment?
Discernment is literally with a gut feeling, being okay, I know what to do, right?
Right. And you just kind of know that those things something's gonna work, right?
Absolutely.
With the gut feeling. But for you to have that ability to do it, it's draining you.
Absolutely.
And the other one was wonder,
yes.
Right? Which is that 50,000 point of view,
yes,
where you're definitely having to know the marketplace, having to know the environment, how to even create the idea.
Yes.
All right. And then if you're that person who has to do that all the time,
I'm gonna be burned out. I mean, I can certainly do it, right? But it's not that I cannot do it. It's just that if that's going to be my full-time job, I'm going to quit in about a week.
Yeah. No, and I think that's where, we really wind up seeing where the genius is, how they have complementary and whatnot, because what's crazy is your frustration, your geniuses are my frustration.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're going to let you in now. You're probably what are you even
Secrets
talking
out,
about?
Bro. Secrets
right?
out.
So let's talk about the working genius. So what is the working genius? So there are 6 types of geniuses, according to Patrick Lencioni, that you can be able to tap into that we all do when it comes to productivity. So when I always love to say it as an airplane, we're going to land the airplane, right? And so 50,000 feet in the air, we're talking about wonder, right? Because you're all about the environment, everything there. And each level of invention, discernment, galvanizing, enablement, tenacity. Those are the 6 types of working genius. And so with each one, you descend 10,000 feet each one. Absolutely. Until finally tenacity, inevitably you hit the tarmac and you land the plane, right? So that's in a nutshell what the 6 types of working genius really are. And, I think that is the bigger piece of being able to say that there is a language that you can be able to have to understand how you operate the best and really how God created you to be. So when it comes to enablement, tenacity, like how does that derive energy for you?
I would say for me, it derives energy because if I can support people towards the finish line, I feel that I did a good job. That's pretty much like for me. And productivity wise, any task that requires like just doing stuff and supporting people, I thrive on that 100% do. But what I can tell you is that if I'm in the other spectrum of it, it'll either drain me or slowly drain me, which is my frustrations and competencies, right?
Which is awesome because it's so like I'm the complete opposite, right? That those are my frustrations.
Yeah.
Everything that he just said is my frustrations. So imagine being in a place where, I did full-time missionary work. I've done all these things there. Yeah. But the moment that I realized like I can release the guilt and shame from saying like, man, I just feel like I'm an asshole. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like being able to say that the enablement, like I don't want to handhold people. And I'm like, wait, but that's so true. Like, I really like that. I don't find joy in doing that. And it explains like why my first job at a movie theater was customer service. And it was like, I was not the worst, but I was not the best. Right. I mean, definitely keep it professional, people. Right. But the reality is though, is that like, I was there because the payoff of free movies and free popcorn was like way for a high school kid. Come on. Like, so like that was, and even to this day, I would say like, I would definitely go and be like, hey, what's up? Like, can we get, going on over there.
Definitely, bro.
But I think like that's the biggest pieces of what really gets us renewed. And for me, mine's invention and discernment. So, like I said, you can go for more details, link below, and we have an actual ways for you to go and learn about your genius. You can get the assessment and, book a call with us, and then we'll get you assessed, everything with the actual paid version. If you're a business leader, we definitely would love to give you a complimentary copy as well. Dang, man.
You all right?
Yeah. We'd love to give you a complimentary for business leaders out there and for other entrepreneurs and startups, like definitely, and as you're looking to scale with a team, we'd love to be able to give you a complimentary license as well. So you can be able to get a try before you buy.
Absolutely.
And realizing to decode what are these guys even talking about, their genius zones, their frustration zones, everything out there, and have a more succinct thing. So this podcast really isn't about making sure that we're going to dive into every bit of it's just a high level overview, right? So we want to challenge you, go click the link below and we can be able to hop on a call and get more clarity on that. Absolutely. But particularly, how do we get across the finish line in this context of really saying with burnout, right? So definitely for the context of founders and burnout, right? I would say Black Friday came up as a really great memory, right?
That was a crazy time,
because that was the first time we were getting our first funnel out live to the public to really understand like who is paid to breathe. We're out here and there's going to be a lot of people online, right? But you saw me jump into Tenacity. What was that like?
Yeah. That was impressive, actually. Knowing that, Brian's frustration is enablement and tenacity, especially tenacity. I was like, wow, that is very impressive. But I really saw him like cringing every single time because we needed to get across the finish line, right? So we're doing individual work and, seeing him like perform, I was like, wow, how can I support? And that balance actually really helped us not burn out completely and get across the finish since we launched the offer, right? But seeing that, I really understood how that looks like. How does a person that has the, frustration of tenacity really looks like when he's doing it? I learned something very valuable there. And, really to this point right now, I can better support Brian because I'm aware of it, right? So that really, really helped out a lot.
Yeah, because I think even when in tenacity, especially in the startup world, like who else is going to do it? So when your brother out there was seeing us too, like, he went to his shift in the morning and came back to us in the evening and we're still in the same spot at the table, like just locked in, right? So 12 hours days. And so you do what it takes to get across the finish line,
Absolutely.
right? But at the same time, burnout for founders is very unique because many of us don't have this language to a business partner who is aware of your frustrations. And this is gold, right? So we challenge you to really understand that. But one of the great things that we really started realizing was really start tapping into immediate? What can pop us into this zone immediately? Because we need it first for our business.
Absolutely.
Right. And for I'm pretty sure if our business needs it, our clients would need it too.
Yeah, and so, these fine ladies and gentlemen that are looking at us right now. Absolutely.
Exactly.
For
you're watching this podcast because you're looking for how to recover from burnout.
Yes.
And so it starts off with the things that we really believe abundance to surrender. But really the biggest things when you told me that abundance is a frequency.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. It's a principle that I learned a long time ago. And when I was in the journey of like understanding myself and whatnot, I came across frequencies. And right now I've been using frequencies for years, but I had no idea that, you know, the genius, like for example, when we're in a state of mind, there is a frequency that goes on. Each genius has a frequency. That's a remarkable discovery that he made. And now Brian's taking his time and making some cool music out of those frequencies, which are not like this boring, you know, sounds. No, it's actually good music.
Yeah, because I think it's important when you hear up like music for productivity. I know I would do that in college. That's kind of one of the things we would share. We're like,
lo-fi, exactly. Yeah.
And you know, it's these life hacks that keep you focused,
absolutely.
Right? Without using anything else, any other substances that people do use to stay focused. Right?
Absolutely. People, especially people like, for example, I have ADHD, so for me, keeping my focus is really hard. Those frequencies definitely have helped me out. Yeah. That's for sure.
So I would say, like, you know, now that we're creating this music, when do you use it? And when you're in burnout or when you're flowing?
That's a very, very good one. I would say both. I have a routine every single day that I prime. I use frequencies and whatnot, but definitely learning about like how to recover, right, from it. I'm learning how to do that right now with you. And we're just, you know, experimenting a little bit with these frequencies. And for me, they have definitely helped. I haven't done it as long, but the little time that I have, they've definitely worked. So
yeah. And, you know, and by the way, you know, we are both this invention, this discovery comes from applying the frequencies there. And by the way, you know, one person obviously has been missing this entire podcast, and that's Justin. You know, he had an emergency last week. We're many prayers for his recovery, and he'll be here on next episodes here coming. Yes. But definitely I talk about Space Force and like so many things of the EMF and what he's taught, the basic things of what, you know, comes into what Space Force actually does. But a lot of these terms of frequency, it's a conversation that even right now, we don't really know a lot more about. Like we're still answering questions. Yeah. Right. We have more questions than we have answers. But a lot of this topic, what we're talking about here, it's actually in the cutting edge conversations in the scientific community, military applications, in so many ways that this stuff is real, people. So, you know, like I said, you know, and that's going to be, we could spend the whole hour podcast talking about frequencies and like the ways.
Probably going to be the next episode because it's going to be a long conversation for sure.
But, you know, we do have a surprise for everybody.
Oh, yes, we do, guys. We do.
Because this thing here, well, we said we made a decision, this could be reserved for our private clientele, for ourselves only. And we said, no, I think. So where can these wonderful people go and find this music?
Oh, yeah, bro. Basically, we're making very, very beautiful music for you, all of you. There should be a link down below in the descriptions. You can click that and download the music that we're creating. There's going to be more done in the next, but 28th is going to be officially a list of a few of them. So
where can they hear it? Particularly
Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify, which, you know, that's what I was saying is like, you know, it's definitely, we provide this podcast free of charge or anything as well. But every time, not only can you be able now to snap into your genius zone immediately, see how it works for you. You might want to get assessed to see what your geniuses are first. So you can click the link below too to schedule a session with us so we can be able to get you assessed. And then you'll be able to use that anytime, renewable energy, and zapping into that genius zone. Because for me, even to create this is an example of me seeing the market, solving a problem for our own team internally.
Yes.
Right. And so if you can start being able to see what does it look like if my team is struggling with innovation right now? Absolutely. What does it look like if we're in an implementation only time in our season of work in the Q1, Q2, right? Of productivity, right? That getting across the finish line, that if you have music now, that is fun and awesome to listen to, and it'll snap you amazingly into your genius. So once again, guys, thank you for watching. This has been the second podcast episode here. We look forward to continue to bring you more.
Oh, yes, sir.
And we will see you on the next one.
God bless, guys. Take care.